What about when adults employee misgenders you intentionally?
While he's talking, you're talking.
You just misgendered me again.
Okay.
Multiple times.
Gotcha.
Both of you have.
Sorry.
Wasn't intentional, but if you want to take it personal, that's also.
Well, she did do it intentionally twice.
You're
I did
talking
not
to
do
me
it
too.
intentionally.
You said she and then you said he.
You're being condescending, and if you want to continue, I have full authority to escort you out the building right this moment. If you want to play that game with me.
Okay.
Would you like to continue 3 days before Christmas? I really don't mind.
I'm good. I'll just put this on.
So, as much as we talk about DEI hires under the Biden administration, I frankly think it is time to create a new term for the new administration, and that is DEI fires. Okay, you have DEI hires and you have DEI fires. I think every single time that a DEI initiative or program or employee gets removed by a Trump era executive policy, we got to label it exactly what it is. And guys, we have a brand new DEI hire tonight because apparently pronouns, the pronouns in bio, he, him, she, her, zer, it, that, all of this different just performative virtue signaling nonsense. Well, guys, it is officially gone from the federal government, and this comes in a long string of Trump executive orders that are trying to get rid of DEI and essentially woke virtue signaling in all forms from being practiced by the federal government, our bureaucracy, our government employees. They're not going to be able to engage in this type of behavior at work. We're getting rid of all the programs. And brand new, okay, so this is as of 5 p.m. Eastern time on Friday, federal employees were told to remove pronouns from their email signatures by the end of the day. So essentially what is going on there is if you say, okay, sincerely in this email, Jim Thorpe, they, that, right? Or whatever the freaking, he, him, whatever, right? You're not allowed to do that anymore. Like all this stupid crap is going to be removed. Apparently, federal employees from multiple agencies have just been ordered to remove their pronouns from email signatures by 5 p.m. today. Pronouns and any other information not permitted in the policy must be removed by 5 p.m. today. That's an example of an email sent to CDC employees, and this is happening all over the federal government. So again, I guess you can say that the pronouns in bio are officially fired. They are gone. That era of America is no more.
Good afternoon. I want to welcome these leaders for coming in to have this very important discussion about some of the most pressing issues of our time. I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit. And
no, I think your pronouns now are not president. Okay, so there you go. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, make sure that you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. You subscribing is the #1 way to ensure that we can keep bringing you these videos, so it's greatly appreciated. Make sure you smash that red button down below. And with that said, so this is far from the only Trump policy, but as I'm sure many of us have had to deal with this pronoun stuff for the past several years, it's pretty satisfying to see, right? Like anyone who's working on government tax dollars, on government time, no more pronouns, like shut up, But this is, of course, a part of a much longer string of Trump executive orders that are aimed at getting rid of all DEI, gender theory nonsense from the federal government. Of course, you have the executive order to abolish all DEI programs, and the Trump administration is currently in a long fight to try to identify, because apparently, in the transition period, a bunch of federal programs in the government tried to rebrand themselves. They tried to change the name from DEI to something else. You also, of course, have the federal recognition in U.S., government policy that there are only two genders. And very rapidly, everyone is starting to find out that this Trump administration is absolutely serious about what they're doing. I find it, of course, to be very interesting that, the federal government, the employees, the bureaucracy basically thought that if they rebranded DEI, they would be able to get away with it, because that's usually what the act has been for a very long time. For instance, remember critical race theory, remember CRT and how Republicans were trying to get rid of that from educational institutions. What do the Democrats do? Specifically the liberal activists working as professors and institutionalists and all that, they were just rebranding it. And that's how the whole DEI thing even came up to begin with. But what is Trump doing this time? Again, finding out that they're serious. You're not going to be able to circumvent circumvent these executive orders. This is 100% real, and that is what a lot of people in this country are rapidly finding out. Trump is not playing.
Also, some people claiming that I'm lying about my passport situation because there's no way that they could enforce it this fast into the presidency. Y'all claim to be good old diehard American patriots, but you don't even know how the systems here work. You're not that smart. Let me try to make it as simple as possible. On January 20th, this executive order was signed. In the fine print, it says that it will affect passports. So then I booked an appointment at my nearest passport agency for as soon as I could get in on January 23rd, because usually an executive order like this takes about 30 days to go into full effect. So I was hoping that I could beat it. Now, in order to get a passport quickly, you have to have proof of urgent international travel. So I booked a flight to Canada to prove that I needed a passport. My application was in process on the 23rd and approved on the 24th. And what do you know? It was shipped on the 27th and I received it on the 28th. This is the letter that they sent with my new passport. And yes, it's real. I have it right here. You can see the date that it was issued. I'm not fucking lying. All of my documents say female. I've had the sex change surgery, but they marked my new passport as male because they linked it back to my old passport from before I transitioned, which says male, obviously. You can see it is hole punched and invalid.
Again, Trump's not playing, okay? Oh, there's no way that they're really going to implement this policy within 7 days. Nope, they just did. They just implemented it immediately upon the moment that Trump signed the executive order because, you know, it's really crazy. It's honestly revolutionary. This is the first time in my life I've seen a president get into office and act this efficiently and take action this quickly and actually have a solid mechanism for implementing it and enforcing it. Guys, the second Trump administration, much I would argue kind of unlike, especially the beginning of the first Trump administration, is completely serious. They have a plan for everything. It's arguably like one of the most professional, efficient governments I think I've ever seen. In fact, it most definitely is the most professional and efficient government I've seen in my lifetime and probably in a very long time in this country, because very often, you know, there's kind of this presumption that, well, regardless of whoever's the president, nothing's really going to change. Are people really going to actually implement policy changes? A lot of times they sign things, but they never actually become the law. Nope, this is exactly what's happening. By the way, can I just point out the ridiculousness of this? This individual booked a expensive vacation, okay? You know, last minute flight to try to renew the passport, hoping that the Trump administration policy would not take effect. Whereas, you know, if you still kept the same passport, it would still say female on it, but instead renews the passport thinking I'm going to use this to get around Trump. And it says, boom, you're a man on the passport. I don't know. I just want to point out that's kind of a funny aspect of that story. But nonetheless, guys, okay, so it's happening on all levels. I think you are genuinely seeing pretty drastic changes to the federal workforce, to our federal bureaucracy. Part of this is Doge. Part of this is Trump's, I would argue, original intent and promise to drain the swamp. I think you're seeing those entities work together. And today, Trump also made it loud and clear that his executive order to basically stop work from home, right? If you work for the federal government, if you work on our tax dollars, you have to actually show up to the office. I know, such a radical, crazy opinion. Here's Trump doubling down on that as well today.
You've offered over 2 million federal workers the option to resign immediately. Right. There are 50,000 FAA employees. Does this tragedy give you reason to reconsider that option of resignations because of concerns about staffing issues on airline safety?
If people aren't coming to work, if they're not going to come into the office and report as per the date that you know what it is, everybody knows what the date is, it's been very well documented, then they're going to be terminated.
You're not concerned, though, that if many people take that offer, there could be shortages that could lead to safety issues?
Then they'll be replaced with very competent people. We have a lot of competent people in this country.
Yeah, can I just ask, in regards to the FAA and obviously all of the recent concerns over airline travel, which are very valid, why exactly the media thinks it's smart to have FAA employees who are working from home. Like, I cannot possibly imagine why any job in air traffic control or safety or something like that, you know, planes are like physical things. You have to deal with them in person. Air traffic control towers are physical places. You have to be there in person. So I don't know if it's true whether or not the FAA has any remote work from home employees, but let me just say, you cannot exactly control the air traffic towers on a Zoom call. Okay, so you know, I would be very surprised, honestly, if the work from home order even affects entities like the FAA. But if it does, maybe that's further making a valid point on Trump's fault. We have to chase competency and efficiency in the federal government. And, there's many different ways to do that. There's many layers to it. Number one, you have to just get rid of people who are useless. Number two, when it comes to actually hiring people in the federal government, you have to make sure they're the best, the brightest, they're the most competent for the job. And if they are incompetent, then you have to get rid of them. I know that's such a crazy idea because that's basically how any private sector business on the planet functions. But of course, that's not how our federal government has functioned for a very long time. And that's precisely why the change you're currently seeing in our country, in our government specifically, is so optimistic. And guys, just to be clear, you don't think something like DEI hiring in federal bureaucracy has real life consequences? Think again. I mean, just take a look for yourself. This is from Libs of TikTok. Current job listing for an air traffic controller. Air traffic controller. So let's be clear. We're not talking about the janitor at the FAA. We're talking about air traffic controllers, the very people who their incompetence precisely largely caused the accident out of Ronald Reagan Airport. On the FAA's website is open to people with disabilities concerning psychiatric and intellectual delays. Okay, so basically, let's hire people with mental disabilities. We're not going to discriminate when it comes to air traffic control. Yes, this is real. This is a real thing that the FAA is currently doing. Okay? The person controlling the air tower, that, as you know, that's very important for, safe commercial flights, as we learned in DC. They said Trump was crazy for pointing this out. No, this is a real listing on the FAA's website. As you can see here, this job is open to the public and is open to individuals with disabilities, including psychiatric disorders. Okay? That is why. You have to fundamentally restructure the way we hire people in the federal government, which is why Trump is putting a temporary freeze on a lot of new federal hiring, so that way we can re-examine that. That is precisely why you have to ban DEI hiring. And this is a prime example of it. Because we always say, okay, people need to be qualified for the job. Well, quite literally, if you have a psychiatric disorder, I'm not sure you're exactly qualified to be an air traffic controller. Check out this other one right here. Speech impairment. It's okay to hire someone with speech impairment for air traffic control. Can I point out here, the most important aspect of air traffic control is communication with the planes back and forth to the towers. This is insanity. This is literally insanity. And that's what we're dealing with. But you claim, oh, how dare he get rid of DEI? He's just so mean for that. No. Literally, people's lives are on the line right now. Okay? As you're seeing. So that's why you got to get rid of DEI hiring in the federal government. That's why you got to chase competency. That's why you have to demand that these employees actually do their job, etc., etc. And that's precisely why the executive orders that Trump is taking right now on, for instance, again, like federal hiring, federal bureaucracy, you may not think it affects your life all that much. Trust me, right now, it absolutely does. And those are the reasons we just laid out. So you love to see it. Okay, progress being made. We're getting rid of DEI initiatives. We're getting rid of DEI programs. We're chasing competency. Again, given what's just happened in our airspace this past week, I think that's very, very important. With that said, let me know your thoughts on all of this, guys, in the comment section down below. Leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.